Hello, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Duty's Daggers. We have a knife review today, but first, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and push the button and follow me on Instagram, Duties_daggers. Bump the camera there. So today we're checking out a TwoSun. We're doing a full review on it. In fact, this is the TwoSun TS300, and it is the my first TwoSun that I've ever owned, and the second one that I've ever handled. So as far as like how TwoSuns are typically feel, I don't have a great understanding of that just because I've only handled two of them. But as far as a knife and judging it against other knives, that I can do. So I really like this knife. Let's take some measurements first of all. All right, we got a blade length of, well, I guess we should measure it from down here, huh? About 3 3/4 inch from there. If you want to measure it from this little point here, it's 3 1/4. And then we have an overall length from point to point. It's about 8 inches and 1/8, so pretty long. If you measured it from kind of back over here, it would be like 7 7/8. It's a pretty angular knife. Oh yeah, and then closed, what do we got here? We'll measure from this point to this point. We've got 4 7/8, almost 5 inches. Let me let the dog out. Come on, let's go. Come on. There we go. So those are the measurements, and let's do some size comparisons very quickly so that you guys can kind of get an idea of how big the knife is. How about the good old PM2, Spyderco Paramilitary 2? Very, very similar in size. In fact, they look to be almost exactly the same size. Then we got the Benchmade Griptilian, a little bit shorter there. And then how about some Civivis? Civivi Conspirator, just about the same as well. And then the Civivi Elementum. There you go. And that should do it for the size comparisons. So, let's take a look at this guy. This is a full titanium construction knife, titanium frame lock. It is a very aggressive tanto blade shape, which I really like. Not only how it looks, but kind of as an EDC tool as well. I've been carrying this thing a lot at work, and it's proving to be pretty darn useful. We have a hollow grind here on the flat portion of the blade, and then up on the tanto, it's a flat grind. It's nice and thick up here, but also pointy, which in my opinion is what you want in a tanto. You want this tip to be strong. That's one of the attributes of a tanto, is it has a very strong tip. So you have this strong area here for, any tasks where you want a beefier section of your blade, and then you have this very nice thin slicey section of the blade down here for your slicing. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of best of both worlds, and you also kind of have two usable tips here. You have this primary tip, and then you have this secondary tip, which actually you can kind of slip in behind tape and packages. You could even do draw cuts with it using this tip. It's pretty cool. I never really carried a tanto before this one, and yeah, I'm just kind of really realizing the usefulness of carrying a tanto. So, like I said, full titanium construction. We have a nice titanium milled pocket clip, which works very well. We have a cool looking pivot too. I really like the look of this pivot. The scales are contoured, but they're contoured in a way that there's 3 different flat sections here. So if you look at it down this way, you can tell it is contoured. There's kind of like, it curves, but it's using different flats here, which is pretty cool look. I like how the light kind of, makes some different shades of gray. I like it. I think it looks cool. Kind of weird overall aesthetic. I mean, it looks kind of futuristic. It's kind of angular. The this lock bar also, I think they did a really good job on it because you can see the gap, the spacing in between the lock bar and the actual scale is very small. It's a very small gap. That's usually a sign of some really good machining because it takes a very specific kind of tool to get this thin of cuts, because this is all one piece. The lock bar and this, it's all one piece. So they had to cut that out with a very, very small, I don't know if it was a water jet or some very, very small end mill tool. I don't know, but that's cool. I like to see that. Now, there's only one means of deployment, which is this finger hole here, which I really like. It works very well. You don't have a flipper tab kind of protruding out the back when it's closed, or you don't have it protruding out here in the front when it's open. So just a nice kind of sleek design. And since there is no flipper tab, you can choke all the way up here and get nice and close to the edge. There's definitely a pronounced spot here for your index finger to rest on, grip on, which I love. I love choking up on my knives. Another cool detail is the lock bar relief cut, which is this area here, which provides less tension, so it's not so hard to push this lock bar over. Is actually on the inside, which creates a nice clean look on the outside. If you look at some other frame locks, they do them on the outside like this, which kind of gets hung up on your pocket a lot of times, not all the time. On this one it doesn't, but on some frame locks this is kind of a problem. It kind of gets caught on your seam of your pants. So that's really cool that they decided to do that on the inside. That just shows that they're paying attention. They're not just slapping the knife together. So you can reverse flick it. You can also thumb flick it very easily. You kind of just place your thumb in the upper kind of corner of this hole, and it's actually really easy to pop out. One of the easiest thumb flicking knives that I've ever tried, actually. The detent's nice and dialed in. This thing is fun to flick, and give it a little shake and it's falling right shut. So excellent action. This knife is only $100, which is typical for TwoSun, but if you don't know TwoSun, that might be surprising to you. TwoSun is, they make high quality, mostly titanium frame locks, a lot of them, for a very, very good price. And the blade steel on this guy is 14C28N. So you're not getting like M390 or 20CV like you would see on some more premium looking titanium frame locks. But it's $100, and 14C28N is a perfectly fine steel. In fact, I would argue that it's one of the best kind of mid-range steels out there. So $100, you're getting a lot here. You're getting full titanium construction, milled titanium pocket clip, awesome grinds on the blade. It took time to do all this in here. It took time and precision. The only flaw I can kind of see is this line right here. Hopefully you can see it. It's right there where they kind of messed up on the grinder a little bit. But it's hardly noticeable at all. And the other side is perfectly fine. That's the only flaw I can find. This is hard to do. Trust me, I've ground in bevels on knives before, and it is very, very hard. So there's a lot of craftsmanship going on here, and it's only $100. So that's pretty freaking sweet. It's not super well. Let's see. I was gonna say it's not super clicky shutting, but actually it is pretty good. Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah, I like this knife. You might not guess, but it actually is extremely comfortable too. I have 0 hot spots back here. I have 0 hot spots even choked up here. Very, very comfortable knife to hold on to. This thing is just really sweet. Another thing I like is that there's no milling going on the inside for weight relief. These are just full thickness slabs of titanium, which I like, and it's still not that heavy. It's not quite as heavy as you would think it would be. I don't know. I'm just liking, especially for titanium frame locks, no milling. I just think it's it gives the knife a more beefy, kind of more substantial feel, and I really like that. It's very thin behind the edge. It's slicey as hell. I mean, there's really nothing negative to say about the knife, honestly. It's $100. It's a really cool design, good materials, good craftsmanship, good attention to detail with the lock bar relief cut on the inside, these tight cuts on the frame lock. It's just, they did a good job on this one. Nice fat barrel spacers back there. This thing's awesome. I would really recommend you guys get one. I'll put a link to it down below if it's in stock. I forget which distributor carries them. It's either Smoky Mountain Knife Works or White Mountain Knives. I forget which one it is. I will link it below. If it's White Mountain Knives, then I do have a discount code for them. It's Duty5, and I will put that down below for you as well. In fact, now that I think about it, it is White Mountain Knives that carries these. So I will put a link to White Mountain Knives down below. And if you decide to get it, use my code. Is it Duty 3 or Duty 5? I can't remember. But I'm going to put it down there, so it'll be down in the description for you. And, yeah, that'll about do it. Pick yourself up a TwoSun TS300. You will like it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.